Welcome to Lake Michigan, with all of its sounds, scenery, and sand. We have finally made it to the west side of the Mitten, so the east side of Lake Michigan. And we planned a fun stop for today. This is mostly for Kaylee, but we are at Silver Bay State Park, and there is a family here that has been doing dune rides on the sand dunes for nearly 100 years. Mac Dune started these dune rides back in 1930, and they've evolved over the years. They're super popular in the area. Kaylee is super excited for this. Me, not so much, because I know it's gonna mean lots of cleaning, getting sand out of everything when we're done with this, but should be a good time. The vehicles used for the dune rides have changed through the years, along with the prices, but they've always been fun.
I'm ready to get out there on the dunes. I'll bet Mommy is so excited for sand. It's her favorite, right up there with mosquitoes.
It's a 40-minute ride. We're going to cover about 7 miles. We will be making a few stops. Good news, if you do lose your hat, you can come back tomorrow. It'll be on sale in the gift shop here.
Silver Lake State Park has extensive sand dunes covering thousands of acres. An area of the dunes has been reserved specifically for Mac Woods tours.
I've never heard squeaky sand.
So strange. It's squeaky.
This has now become our biggest, steepest hill. This is as close as we get to a roller coaster right here. Going down, it's not 90 degrees, but it's pretty steep. This one you got to get the hands up on. Ready? Here we go.
That was a good one.
Right now, Silver Lake is about 2/3 of its original size. It's taken about 100 years to fill in 1/3 of the lake. And so they're saying if the sand continues to blow the way it is into the water, the dunes continue to work their way across, they think about 200, 225 years from now, entire lake's gonna be completely gone, completely filled in. And over on the northwest corner, we've got 8 cottages that are completely buried over there. There's no vegetation, so that sand just blows, covering everything in its path.
Whew.
That was fun. So much fun. It wasn't really too expensive. It was like 65 bucks for the 3 of us to go, and worth every penny.
Yeah, it was super smooth. It was not bumpy at all, but you know, when you take the hills, you get a little air, it was so awesome.
But I mean, riding out there was smoother than a lot of these roads we've been driving in Michigan, just saying.
And you are able to do some UTV rentals from some companies here.
Sure.
I was just talking to a couple that they did it a few years ago, and they said it was about $200 for 2 hours. And they checked on it recently, and it had gone up to $425 for a 2-hour rental. And I'm like, I would not have had $425 worth of fun, but this was worth 25 bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 25 for adults, I think, and 15 for kids.
Yeah.
And worth every penny of it. Super fun, and you don't have to worry about getting stuck or broken down if you take your own rig. They say you can take your own at your own risk.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. The tour guide was amazing. Jim did a great job giving us nice information about it. Highly recommend Mac Woods.
And come early.
Yes.
Be here for the first tour, it's worth it. Well, we apparently haven't gotten our fill of sand. We've stopped at the Little Sable Lighthouse, and this is Michigan's tallest lighthouse, finished in 1874, and I think it may be the prettiest one we've seen in Michigan yet.
The lighthouse here is beautiful. It's one of the prettier lighthouses that I think we've ever seen. I love it. And the setting right there by the lake, really nice. But be warned, don't bring a long, tall RV down here. We were told that bringing a fifth wheel wouldn't be a problem, but there are a lot of low-hanging limbs, some power lines. We are almost 13 feet tall. And I know a lot of fifth wheels out there are, 13 and a half or bigger. And I definitely wouldn't recommend taking a rig that big down that road. The other problem is the parking lot here is narrow. We had just enough room where we could make a nice U-turn. So if you've got a big rig, I would recommend leaving it somewhere else before you come down here.
The next morning, we headed to another gorgeous spot on Lake Michigan, Point Betsie Lighthouse. Although the tower is only 37 feet tall, its position on the bluff elevates the light to 52 feet above the water.
Point Betsie Lighthouse is so pretty, and we got out here pretty early in the morning, a little before 9. That's early for us at least. And there's almost nobody here. It's just a quiet morning. The only sound that you hear is a bit of wind and a few waves on the lake. It's just beautiful, and the rocks around here are just beautiful.
They're so colorful and all different shapes, and I prefer rock beaches over sandy beaches any day. Of course, there's both here, so we're all happy. You got me wet.
So this is what you get for getting into sand and water. Sandy feet.
Established in 1970, Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore includes over 70,000 acres and 35 miles of shoreline. First, we headed out on the Pierhead Scenic Drive, named after a lumberman and nature enthusiast. He developed the 7-mile drive in the 1960s as a way of sharing the area's beauty with visitors.
Usually we buy the interagency annual pass from the National Park Service, the America the Beautiful Pass, and it's like 80 bucks, and it's a good deal if you're going to multiple sites in a year, national parks and other places where you would normally have to pay to get in. But because Kaylee is a 4th grader, we get to get a 4th grade interagency pass for free, which is Daddy's favorite price. So if you have a 4th grader in your family, this is a good deal. There's a little paperwork that you have to do to be able to get one. It's not very much, but it's well worth it, certainly worth 80 bucks.
I'm ruining my hair for the shot.
The towering sand dunes offer sweeping views of Lake Michigan and the Manitou Islands. Some of these dunes reach heights of 450 feet.
I don't feel like I'm at a lake. I feel like I'm at the ocean. Look at the color of this water. So blue. It's quiet and peaceful. Wow, gorgeous place.
Hello! And Kaylee is happy. She's got sand.
There are almost no clouds in the sky today. It's just spectacular. The color of the water is incredible. Seeing the height of these dunes is so neat. But what does our child want to do? Like usual, play in the sand.
Yay! The bad thing about dunes is when you go down, you have to come back up. And coming up is always the hard part. I ran all the way down there, and now I have to go up.
So Sleeping Bear Dunes actually got its name from an old Anishinaabe legend about this area. There was a mama bear and her 2 cubs that were hungry. There was a famine going on, and they decided to swim across Lake Michigan to try to find food. And sadly, on the way across the lake, the 2 bear cubs drowned. And when the mama bear made it to this side, she looked out over the water and 2 islands popped up. So she still keeps watch over her baby cubs. Kind of a sad story.
Do you want to climb the dune, Kaylee?
If I could sled down, that would be fun.
A lot of people come to the dune climb because it's the one dune that you can climb in the National Lakeshore. But it's almost 80 degrees.
Mommy and sand really don't mix too well.
It's too close to lunchtime. I'm hungry, so I'm using that as an excuse to not climb the dune.
The museum at Sleeping Bear Point explains the importance of life-saving stations on the Great Lakes.
Numerous sinkings on both the Atlantic and Pacific coast. People drowned, terrible shipwrecks on the Great Lakes. So everybody ran to Congress and said, do something. So Congress said, we will establish permanently based rescue stations on both coasts and on the Great Lakes, and they will be manned by trained professionals. In 1878, they create the United States Life-Saving Service. And it runs its course to 1915, at which time there's 271 stations in the United States, and they merge the Life-Saving Service with the Revenue Cutter Division, and they create the United States Coast Guard. So this is the birthplace of the Coast Guard.
Very cool.
Manitou Passage was a frequently used but dangerous shortcut between Chicago and the Straits of Mackinac. The high number of shipwrecks in the area led to the establishment of this station.
So what did you spell?
Kaylee.
With one E, because we only have
Understood.
one E flag.
Understood.
Very neat.
Lyle guns were used to fire a solid projectile with an attached line out to a ship that had run aground. Once the sailors retrieved this line, it was used to pull heavier ropes to the vessel. A breeches buoy was then used to create a zipline system to ferry sailors back to land. Exhibits also feature the types of ships that sailed the Great Lakes, navigational tools, and other maritime artifacts.
The historic town of Glen Haven here has a really interesting history. It started in, I believe, the early 1840s as a place where ships coming up Lake Michigan, primarily from Chicago, would stop to refuel, at the time with wood. And it wasn't very long after that started that tourism started to become a big deal. They built the Sleeping Bear Inn, which still operates, I think, seasonally. And that kept going on for decades until coal started to overtake wood as the fuel of choice for a lot of the big ships. So a lot of towns like Glen Haven pretty much died away. Glen Haven still hung on though for a while, and in the 1920s it became a place where a lot of canning was done. So they were canning things like cherries, peaches, apples, and that went on for about 15-20 years up until about World War II. And now it's part of the National Lakeshore. The National Park Service manages most of the property around here. It's really neat to see.
Blacksmiths played an essential role in supporting the maritime and logging industries in the 1800s and early 1900s. It's encouraging to see people continue to practice this craft, and a great way to help kids and adults learn practical history. Housed in the old cannery building is a museum that showcases historic fishing boats, lifeboats, and recreational boats.
That's pretty cool. We've been staying at the Indigo Bluffs RV Resort and Campground, and wow, this place has been phenomenal. Certainly one of the very best campgrounds we've ever stayed at. All of the sites here are full hookups. Most of the sites are pull-throughs, but they've left so many mature trees intact. It makes it feel like a state park or a national park campground. They have a very clean, nice laundromat with nice bathhouses, also very clean, nice little camp store, and a pool that Kaylee has enjoyed playing in 3 times already on this trip. She just absolutely has loved it. Had so much fun. And you might think, wow, that sounds awesome. How could a campground get any better than that? Well, they actually have the answer. Remember, this is Indigo Bluffs RV Resort and Campground. And this is the resort section. Everything is paved. All of the sites are stamped concrete, and you're driving over asphalt to be able to get here. Premium pedestals everywhere, lots of mature trees between the sites. The campground where we're staying is about 50 bucks a night right now in the shoulder season. And over here in the resort, it's about 75. Still not bad at all for what you're getting. I think it's very reasonably priced.
We're in Fishtown.
This is a historic area in Leland. This was the old commercial fishing area. Used to be lots of ice houses and smoke houses where locals would sell their fish and get them ready to be shipped off. And now they've converted it all to
A little shopping town.
yeah, little shops and little restaurants. It's very, very cute. It's a cool morning. There's almost nobody here. And we've heard a lot of good things about the cheese shanties. So we're gonna go see if we can find some good cheese.
Two fishing boats, the Joy and the Janice Sue, still operate out of the village, providing a living connection to the past.
All right, we were headed to the cheese shanty, but we caught a whiff of something. There is an actual smokehouse here and they sell smoked fish, so we're gonna follow our noses to probably try something really delicious.
Carlson's Fishery is a fourth-generation family business that's been in operation since 1904. They offer fresh-caught fish fillets, fish sausage, fish jerky, and the most appetizing of all, smoked fish.
Thank you.
Those are chubs. And then we got lake trout and salmon.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't know you guys were here. We followed the smell. It smells so good.
Cheese and bread. It's not every town where the local sheriff has his own really nice boat.
We're waiting for Daddy because he's taking way too many shots.
Positioned at the northern tip of the Leland Peninsula, the Grand Traverse Lighthouse was essential for guiding boats into this busy shipping route. It made for a great backdrop for our lunch of smoked trout.
I thought we would have to try to keep the fish cold until we got back to the RV.
No need for that. It vanished.
Just disappeared.
Who ate it?
It was so good, so moist.
Very tasty.
Good picnic lunch, right?
Saucy thinks it was good.
Well, he likes fish. He's a gator.
All pets must be leashed.
We capped off the day with rock hunting on the beach and enjoying the emerald-colored water of Lake Michigan.
Angela is brilliant. We have these collapsible 5-gallon water jugs so that we can have extra water for the RV in some situations. But she remembered that we had them and said, hey, why don't we fill this up with water and we can use it to wash sand off of our feet and legs. Great tip. really likes me. It's landed on me 2 times now.
You have a friend.
I've got a little flying friend.
All right, well, Harvest Host strikes again. In case you can't tell, we are at an orchard. We're about 30 minutes or so north of Traverse City, and we heard about this place. It's called Friske's Farm and Market, and they have an amazing looking store, tons of home-baked pastries, which, you know, for us is right up our alley. We are parked out in the middle of a field. There's a really great play place for kids. It looks amazing. Kaylee is super excited to go play with some kids. We're gonna go do some shopping and hopefully not spend too much money.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need a cart in this place.
That's a lot of donuts.
That's true, that's true. But I've got a lot of appetite.
All right, we're gonna soon see if this is a bad idea.
That is fun, but that is exhausting.
I don't know what it is about this playground that makes me want to just be a kid again, but it's working. 1, 2, 3. Sadly, we had to leave our Harvest Host this morning. It was one of the best Harvest Host experiences we've ever had. You had a ball.
Yes, the zip line was so much fun.
And we've just come a few miles north to Charlevoix. And Michigan is known for its cherry production. So Washington actually produces the most sweet cherries in the US, but the state of Michigan produces the most tart cherries, which are good for things like baking and jams and jellies, and most importantly, cherry pie.
This pie took nearly 5,000 pounds of cherries, nearly 4,000 pounds of cherry juice. It was 14 feet wide, cooked in an oven 18 feet wide, and took nearly 5 hours to bake. That is ginormous.
This town is also famous for its mushroom houses. These are houses that were designed by an architect named Earl Young, and they are all private property, so you can't just, walk through people's yards, but it certainly makes for a beautiful walk in a neighborhood. It's a quiet morning, and you just kind of feel like you're in a fairy tale.
So this is the most popular of the mushroom houses, but we kind of like this one just as much. Look how cute that is.
Yeah, that's a perfect size.
It is.
Another fun fact we learned on this trip is that Michigan actually has the most lighthouses of any other state. I would have thought it was Maine, but no, it is Michigan at how many, Kaylee?
129?
129 lighthouses. There's no way that we can see all of them, but those that we are able to get to, we're trying to scope out, especially the ones that are kind of unique, and this one definitely fits the bill.
The original wooden lighthouse was built in the 1880s, but was replaced by this steel light in 1948. Its light is visible for 13 miles, and the bright red color makes a striking contrast against the blue water. During the busy summer season, this drawbridge opens every 30 minutes to allow boats to move between Lake Charlevoix and Lake Michigan. The drawbridge is a popular attraction in the city, especially for visitors with children.
It's so cool. It's like, now it looks like a normal bridge. It's so weird.
Join us down the road as we step back in time on Mackinac Island. And until next time, enjoy your journey.